Kale's chest heaved as he ran across the jagged rocks, his boots scraping against the sharp stone. The canyon echoed with distant, menacing roars, predax hunters, relentless and merciless. He didn't know why he was here. He didn't even know the girl he was chasing, but something in him had told him to run toward the danger instead of away. Lyra, a Vulpine warrior, was trapped. Her tail twitched frantically, caught in a cruel net of woven vines that dug into her golden fur. Her ears flattened against her head, and her amber eyes glimmered with fear. She had fought many battles in her life, but the predax were not a fight she could win alone. They were coming closer, their shadows stretching across the canyon walls, sharp claws glinting in the fading light. Kyle didn't pause. Pain shot through his leg where a jagged rock had scraped him, and blood ran warm down his calf. He ignored it. He ignored the fear burning in his chest. He only thought of her, trapped and terrified, and how he could not let her die here. When the first predax lunged, Kale met it head-on. The creature's claws tore his shoulder, and he stumbled, tasting iron as blood filled his mouth. Pain screamed through him, but he gritted his teeth. He grabbed a fallen branch, swung it with everything he had, and the predax yelped, retreating for a moment. He pressed on. "Lyra, hold on," he shouted. Though he didn't know if she could hear him over the roars, she looked up at him, eyes wide. And for a second, fear froze her completely. Then something in her shifted, a glimmer of hope, a spark she thought she had lost. You're human," she gasped. "Why are you here?" "I don't know," Kyle admitted, voice strained. "But I can't leave you." Her tail curled tightly around her legs, shaking. "It's impossible," she said. "They'll kill us both." Kyle didn't answer. He lunged forward, ripping at the vines that held her. His hands were slick with his own blood, his arms scratched and bruised, but he didn't stop. He could feel the predax closing in, their snarls vibrating in his chest. "Almost there," he growled, pulling at the last knot. With a final heave, the trap tore apart. Lyra fell forward, stumbling, and Kale caught her. His heart pounded. They were free. For now. They ran together, weaving through jagged rocks and narrow paths. Every step Kyle took sent fresh pain shooting through his body, but he ignored it. He ignored the fear. All that mattered was keeping her alive. Eventually, they reached a small plateau, safe for the moment. Kale collapsed against a boulder, gasping, and Lyra crouched beside him, her tail brushing against his arm. She studied his wounds, her hands hovering but not touching. You bled for me," she whispered, disbelief and awe mixing in her voice. Kale wiped the blood from his face with the back of his sleeve. "Yeah. So what? You'd do the same for me if I were trapped." Lyra shook her head slowly. "No human has ever done this before. You don't know what you've done. You've changed everything." Kyle frowned, exhausted. "I just wanted you to live. I didn't know." "You saved me with your blood," she interrupted softly, almost reverently. "In our tradition, that means something. It means everything. Now I cannot let you go." Kale blinked, unsure what she meant. "Wait. What?" She looked away, ears twitching nervously. "It's a sacred bond, human. I don't understand it fully yet, but your blood, it ties you to me. You are mine now, whether you want it or not." Kyle's stomach turned. He had saved her, yes, but he had not expected that one simple act could change his life forever. He looked at her, at the fear, the awe, the weight of something older and deeper than either of them. And for the first time, Kale realized that in saving her, he had walked straight into a world he might never leave. The wind whistled across the plateau. The predax were gone, for now. But the real battle, the one between duty, tradition, and his own will, was only just beginning. The night fell fast over the canyon, painting the rocks in shades of deep purple and silver. Kyle sat on a flat stone, still breathing heavily, his wounds aching with every heartbeat. Lyra stayed close, her tail wrapped around her legs, ears twitching with constant alertness. The stars above twinkled like distant fires, cold and indifferent. But down here, in the quiet after the hunt, everything felt sharp, dangerous, and full of meaning. "You don't understand yet," Lyra said softly, her voice trembling slightly. She didn't move closer, though the closeness was a silent comfort. Her eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight. "What you did, spilling your blood to save me, it isn't just an act of courage. It's sacred." Kyle frowned, confusion knotting his brow. "Sacred? I'm human, I don't know your rules, You saved me with your blood," Lyra interrupted, her tail flicking nervously. "And in Vulpine tradition that binds you to me. For life, you cannot leave. You are tied to me, human, whether you wish it or not." Kyle's stomach sank. "Tied to you? You mean, like a prisoner?" She shook her head, ears flattening against her skull. "No, not prisoner. Protector, companion. Something more than either of us understand yet. Our elders will say it is honor. Our hearts will say something else." Kyle's hand shook. He looked at his arm, streaked with blood, and then at Lyra. She wasn't threatening him, she wasn't demanding, but the weight of her words pressed on him like a stone in his chest. One simple act, one act of saving her life had changed everything. "I didn't know. I didn't ask for this," he said, voice low, almost breaking. "I just wanted you to live. That's all. I didn't expect to belong to anyone." Lyra's ears twitched, her amber eyes softening. "Belong? It is a strange word. I do not mean to scare you, but you are part of me now. My life, my honor, my future, they are tied to yours. And you are tied to mine." Kale exhaled slowly, his mind racing. He had always believed in choice, in freedom, in the right to walk his own path. But here, on this alien world with traditions older than humans had walked the stars, choice had a different meaning. Blood, courage, honor. These were not just words here. They were chains and wings at the same time. "Does this mean I can never leave?" he asked quietly, almost afraid of the answer. Lyra hesitated. She looked at the ground, then up at the stars, then back to him. "The elders will not allow it. And your bond, it is not something that can be broken lightly. But," she said, stepping closer, "it does not mean we cannot shape it together. We can honor tradition, but we can also find our own path within it. We just have to trust each other." Kale swallowed hard. He had never trusted anyone like this before, never depended on someone else for life or death. And yet, the thought of letting her go, of ignoring this bond that fate, or blood, had carved, felt wrong. Somehow, saving her had been only the beginning. Now he had to live with the consequences and maybe even embrace them. "You saved me," Lyra whispered, her voice almost trembling. "Not just my life, my honor, my soul. Humans do not understand the power of this bond. But I do, and I will not let you leave, Kale. Not because I am forced to, but because I want you here." Kale looked into her eyes, searching for fear, threat, or obligation. But there was none. Only honesty, raw and fragile, shining brighter than the stars. For the first time since the Predax had hunted her, Kale felt something stir in his chest beyond exhaustion and pain. Something warm, something fierce, something he couldn't name but knew was real. He nodded slowly, exhaling. Then, "I'll stay, not because I have to, but because I want to. We'll figure this out and together." Lyra's ears flicked back, tail curling around her feet, a soft smile brushing her lips. "Together," she said, and in that word, both fear and hope danced like firelight across the canyon walls. Above them, the stars remained cold and silent. Below, the canyon held its breath. Two lives from two worlds now bound by blood, courage, and the uncertain promise of what was yet to come. Dawn broke slowly over the canyon, painting the rocks in soft gold and orange. Cale's body ached, his wounds throbbing with every heartbeat. He had slept little, the night full of strange, unfamiliar sounds of the alien world. Lyra sat beside him, her tail curled tightly around her legs, ears twitching nervously, as she listened to the distant winds. Then came the sound that made Cale's stomach tighten, a low, commanding roar from above. The cliff path stirred and soon figures appeared. Lyra's clan. Their fur shimmered in sunlight, tails flicking with discipline, eyes sharp and cold. At their head walked Elder Varn, his presence rigid with authority, his golden eyes piercing through Cale like molten steel. "You are the human?" Varn's voice was calm but heavy, like a boulder settling into a canyon. "The one who spilled blood to save Lyra?" Cale straightened, trying to mask his fear, though his shoulder still throbbed. Yes," he said. "I didn't mean to—" "You did not ask," Varn interrupted, voice slicing the air. "But you have broken the sacred law. In saving a Vulpine with your blood, you have bound yourself to her life. You cannot leave. You are hers, human, by tradition and honor." Cale's stomach dropped. I didn't know. I didn't ask for this. I didn't even know your customs." Lyra lowered her gaze, ears drooping. "Cale, I did not ask for it either. But our laws are old. They do not bend for fear or confusion." Varn's gaze softened slightly toward Lyra, then returned to Cale. "Your courage gave her life. Your blood sealed your bond. To deny this bond is to bring dishonor, not just to Lyra, but to your own life. The choice is not yours. You are hers and she is yours. End of question." Cale's fist clenched. His mind raced, swimming with disbelief. He had fought, bled, and risked death to save her, expecting nothing in return, nothing but gratitude. And now he was told he had no choice, no freedom. The weight of the tradition pressed on him like a mountain on his chest. Lyra reached out, her paw brushing his arm. "Cale, I know it is frightening. I feel it too. But it is not just law. It is honor. It is life, and it is trust. The bond means we protect each other always. You saved me with your courage. Now your life is part of mine, and mine part of yours." Cale swallowed hard. He looked at her, seeing the depth of loyalty, fear, and something tender he could not name. He had wanted to save her, yes, but had never imagined that act would bind him to another world, to a culture he barely understood, and to a girl he had only just met. I'm human," he muttered, voice low. "I don't belong here. I don't belong in this world, in your laws, in this bond." "You belong because you chose to act when it mattered," Lyra said softly. "That choice, Cale, is the strongest kind. Our tradition honors that. Do not think of it as a cage. Think of it as a shield, a promise. You saved my life, and now we share a path. We share duty, honor, and trust." Cale's chest tightened. He wanted freedom, yes, but he also wanted to understand her, to stand with her, to make sense of a bond he did not yet fully grasp. He could run. He could refuse. But deep down, he knew he could not. Varn's gaze softened as if sensing Cale's struggle. "Do not fight what is now. Learn it, live it, honor it. That is the path of the courageous human. That is the path of the bond." Cale nodded slowly, pain and exhaustion tugging at him, but also something else, a flicker of determination, a spark that had begun the moment he had chosen to save her. Lyra's ears flicked, tail brushing against his side. "We'll figure it out," she whispered. "Together. I promise." Cale swallowed, his lips curving into the faintest of smiles. "Together," he repeated, letting the word settle in his chest. Around them, the canyon held its silence. But in that silence, a new truth had begun. Human and Vulpine, bound by blood, honor, and courage, were stepping into a future neither of them could yet fully see, but one they would face side by side. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the Vulpine settlement. Cale walked beside Lyra, trying to understand the rhythm of her world. But every step felt heavy with invisible chains. The elder's words echoed in his mind. "You are hers. You belong to her." Every syllable pressed on him, like a weight he could neither lift nor ignore. "I don't belong here," Cale muttered, more to himself than to Lyra. His hands were still stained with dried blood, a reminder of the bond he had forged without knowing it. "I'm human. I don't understand your traditions, your laws, or your rules. I didn't save you to be trapped. I saved you because it was right. Lyra's amber eyes softened, her tail curling lightly around her feet. Kale, I know. And I am grateful, more than you can imagine. But you are part of me now. My life, my honor, my clan. They are tied to yours, and your life is tied to mine. Kale stopped, shaking his head. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to bring dishonor. But I can't help feeling trapped. I didn't ask for this bond. I didn't ask to belong to a culture I don't understand. I didn't ask. You never asked. Lyra interrupted gently, stepping closer. Her ears flicked nervously and her tail brushed his arm. But Kale, the bond is not punishment. It is life, it is trust, it is courage. You showed all of those when you saved me. Now, we walk together. You are part of me and I am part of you. That is the truth. Kale's heart pounded. Every instinct screamed that he should run, that he should fight for his freedom. But when he looked at Lyra, at her unwavering eyes, her soft glow in the fading sunlight, he felt something else. Something deeper than fear, stronger than doubt. Something that whispered he could face this world, its laws, its dangers, if he faced them with her. But what if I fail? He asked quietly, voice trembling. What if I can't live up to your traditions? What if I can't be what they expect? Lyra reached out, her hand brushing his cheek, warm and firm. Kale, no one can be everything. But courage, honesty, and heart, those are enough. You already proved that. You ran into danger when anyone else would have fled. You risked your life for me. That is all that matters. That is honor. That is enough. Kale swallowed hard, feeling a flicker of hope stir inside him. So, you're saying there's a way to live with this? To honor your traditions, without losing ourselves? Lyra nodded, her ears flattening briefly in thought. Yes, it will not be easy. The elders will watch. The clan will judge, but we will find our own path. We will shape this bond together. You and I. Kale looked at her, seeing both the weight of her world and the fire in her heart. For the first time since he had arrived on this alien planet, he felt a spark of belonging. Not because tradition demanded it, but because he chose it. And if they challenge us? Kale asked, a hard edge in his voice. If your clan doesn't accept me? Lyra's eyes gleamed. Then we fight. Not just with strength, but with courage, with heart, with our bond. Your blood gave me life. Your courage gives me hope. Together, we are stronger than fear or law or doubt. Kale's chest tightened, a mixture of fear and determination settling in him. He had never known a world like this, where honor could be as binding as chains and courage as freeing as the wind. But he understood one truth now. Whatever awaited them, he would not face it alone. He reached out, taking Lyra's hand firmly in his own. Together, he whispered. And this time, the word felt like promise, choice, and challenge all at once. Lyra's tail wrapped around them both, a silent declaration of trust. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting the settlement in shadow, but inside Kyle, a new light burned. A light born of blood, courage, and the unbreakable bond between human and Vulpine. For the first time, he realized that belonging did not mean losing freedom. It meant finding strength in someone else. And together they would face whatever the world demanded. The nights were the hardest. The wind howled through the rocky cliffs, carrying distant cries of creatures Kale had yet to understand. He lay on a simple mat, staring at the alien stars above, feeling the strange weight of his new life pressing down on him. Lyra sat nearby, her tail curled around her legs, ears twitching at every unfamiliar sound. The bond between them was undeniable, but the reality of it still terrified him. I don't know if I can do this, Kale admitted quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. I'm a human. I've never lived under rules like these. I've never belonged like this. Lyra tilted her head, her golden eyes soft and thoughtful. Kale, it's okay to be afraid. I am afraid too. This bond, it changes everything. It changes us. But fear does not mean weakness. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to move forward despite it. Kyle turned his gaze to her, noticing how her fur shimmered faintly in the starlight. She was beautiful, fierce and untouchable to most, but here beside him vulnerable too. He felt a strange mix of admiration and protectiveness, as if her strength and her fragility both demanded he rise to meet the challenge. Everywhere I go, he said slowly, I feel like I'm walking into something I don't understand. Your traditions, your clan, this bond, it's overwhelming. I want to do right, I really do. But I feel like I'm failing already. Lyra rose and knelt beside him, placing her hand gently on his. Kyle, listen to me. You have already proven your worth. You ran into death for me. You bled for me. You risked your life without thought for your own safety. That is more than most could ever do. That is honor. That is courage. That is enough. Kyle swallowed hard, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. Her words were simple, yet they struck deeper than any speech or command ever could. For the first time, he realized that the bond was not just about rules or tradition, it was about trust. Respect and shared courage. I'm scared, he admitted again. But this time it felt like a release rather than a confession. I'm scared of failing you. Scared of letting the clan down. Scared of everything. Lyra smiled softly, her tail brushing against his side in a comforting gesture. Fear is natural, but you are not alone. We are bound together, Kale. My life is yours and yours is mine. We face the challenges together. That is what makes us strong. That is what makes us unstoppable. Kale's heart clenched at her words. He had always believed humans were fragile, limited, temporary. But here, in this alien world, standing beside a Vulpine whose courage matched and even surpassed his own, he felt the spark of something greater, something uniquely human, resilience, determination, and the unyielding desire to protect and persevere. Together, he whispered, echoing her words. The sound felt heavy with meaning, filled with promise and responsibility. It was no longer just a bond enforced by tradition. It was a choice. His choice. Lyra's ears flicked with quiet approval, and she leaned closer, her fur brushing his arm. Together, she agreed. We'll learn. We'll adapt. We'll fight when we must, and we will survive, Kale. Not because tradition demands it, but because we want to. Because we must. Because we can. Kyle nodded slowly, letting the first real sense of hope touch his chest. For the first time since the Predax had attacked, he felt a sense of purpose that belonged not just to survival, but to something bigger. A shared future. A bond forged in blood, courage, and trust. Above them, the stars shone cold and distant, but beneath them 2 hearts beat in rhythm, tethered by choice and necessity, fear and hope, humanity and Vulpine tradition. And in that quiet night, Kale finally understood. Belonging was not losing freedom. It was finding strength in someone else, and in that strength, discovering his own. The morning sun glinted off the metal edges of the canyon as Kale and Lyra prepared for the challenge ahead. Word had reached Lyra's clan that a rival group questioned her right to keep a human at her side. The tension was thick in the air, heavier than any rock or wind. Coyle's muscles ached from his injuries, but he felt a fire burning inside, a mix of fear, determination, and something he couldn't name yet. Lyra's tail flicked nervously, but her eyes were steady, shining with trust. Kale, remember, you fight not just for me. You fight for the bond, for honor, for everything that brought us here. Kale nodded, swallowing hard. I'll do my best. He glanced at her, seeing both strength and vulnerability. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Because I can't let you face this alone. The rival Vulpine clan emerged from the canyon, their eyes sharp, their tails raised like weapons. They circled, whispering threats Kale couldn't understand. But their meaning was clear. Challenge. Fight. Test. Kale stepped forward, standing beside Lyra. His heart pounded, but he forced his fear into focus. He was human, yes, but humans were clever, resilient, and brave in ways that even the Vulpine sometimes underestimated. He would prove it today. The first strike came fast, a blur of claws and silvered blades. Lyra moved like lightning, deflecting attacks, but Kale saw an opening. Using his human instincts, he dodged and blocked in ways the Vulpine did not anticipate. His movements were awkward, untrained, but precise enough. Every time a rival lunged for Lyra, Kale intercepted, taking blows for her, ignoring the sting of pain and the red that blossomed on his arms and chest. You're reckless. Lyra shouted, concern flickering in her voice. I'm alive, he yelled back, adrenaline fueling him. And so are you. The battle raged across the canyon, a symphony of roars, clashes, and shouted commands. Kale felt fear claw at him, but he remembered her words. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the will to act despite it. He pressed on, human strength and intuition keeping him in the fight. At one point, a rival lunged at Lyra from behind. Without thinking, Kale dove, taking the strike himself. Pain exploded in his side, but he rolled and pushed back, holding the attacker off long enough for Lyra to counter. The bond between them, a strange, invisible thread, felt tangible in that moment, pulling them together, synchronizing their movements. Minutes or maybe hours passed in a blur of claws, teeth, and determination. Kyle's human endurance surprised even the Vulpine. His body ached, his blood ran, but his spirit burned brighter than ever. He had never felt so alive, so necessary, so part of something greater than himself. Finally, the challengers retreated, their tails low, their pride bruised. Lyra's clan watched silently, the elder's golden eyes softening with respect. Elder Varn stepped forward, nodding at Kale. "You have proven your worth," he said. "Your courage, your sacrifice, your heart, it honors us all. You are no longer simply hers. You are part of this clan, part of this world. You are worthy." Kyle dropped to his knees, exhaustion and relief flooding through him. Lyra knelt beside him, tail curling around his shoulders, her hand brushing against his cheek. "You did it," she whispered. "You proved it. Not because of law, not because of tradition, but because of you." Kale looked at her, feeling an unfamiliar pride swelling in his chest. He had survived. He had faced an alien culture, impossible odds, and the fierce expectations of the Vulpine, and he had not failed. More than that, he had earned his place beside her, not just through blood, but through courage, choice, and heart. Together, human and Vulpine, they stood under the canyon sun, bound by more than law or tradition. They were bonded by trust, honor, and the undeniable proof that humans, fragile and fleeting though they may be, could rise to meet any challenge, any world and any destiny. And in that moment, Kale understood something profound. Being human was not weakness. It was strength. It was hope. And it was enough. The canyon was quiet now. The echoes of battle had faded, replaced by the soft whisper of the wind across the rocks. Kale and Lyra stood together side by side, watching the sunrise paint the horizon in gold and violet. The rivalry had been settled. The bond had been tested, and in the silence after chaos, something new began to take shape. Elder Varn approached slowly, his golden eyes calm and thoughtful. "Kyle," he said, voice deep and steady, "you have faced our trials. You have bled for Lyra. You have fought for her, and you have honored her life and our tradition. You are hers, and yet, you are also your own. The bond is sacred, but it is also a choice, made stronger by courage and heart." Kale felt a weight lift from his chest. The elders had judged him, yes, but not only by law. They had seen his courage, his heart, and his will. For the first time, he felt that he was more than a visitor in this alien world. He was a participant, a protector, a partner. Lyra stepped closer, her tail brushing against his arm, warm and reassuring. "Kyle, you have nothing to fear anymore. The clan accepts you. The bond is honored. But more than that, I accept you. Not because law or tradition demands it, but because I want to." Kale swallowed, emotion tightening his throat. He had come here a stranger, a human with nothing but instinct and courage. Now he stood beside a Vulpine warrior bound by blood, honor, and something deeper than either law or fear. And he realized that this bond, this strange, unbreakable tie, was something he would never give up. "I never wanted to be bound by tradition," he said softly. "But now I see, it doesn't feel like a cage. It feels like belonging. Like we belong to each other in a way that makes us stronger." Lyra's ears flicked in agreement, her eyes shining. "Yes, that is exactly what it means. We face this world together, and whatever comes next, we will face it side by side." Kale reached for her hand, gripping it firmly. He felt her warmth, her strength, her trust. It anchored him in a way nothing else could. "Then we step forward together," he said. "Not because we have to, but because we choose to, and we'll fight for each other, for this bond, for everything we care about." Lyra smiled, a soft, radiant smile that lit her face like sunlight. "Together," she echoed, letting the words settle between them like a promise. Around them, the Vulpine clan watched silently, their expressions respectful, acknowledging not only tradition, but the courage of this human who had proven himself beyond measure. Kale's heart swelled with pride, not for himself, but for what he and Lyra had become together. He realized then that being human did not mean being weak. It meant being clever, adaptable, and willing to risk everything for something worth protecting. And in this alien world, that willingness, the strength to act when it mattered most, was not just enough. It was extraordinary. The wind rustled through the canyon, carrying the scent of wildflowers and distant mountains. Kale and Lyra stood still, hand in hand, their breaths mingling, hearts beating in quiet synchronization. The sun rose higher, casting light on their path, on the bonds they had forged, and on the future they would shape together. Kale's voice broke the silence. No matter what comes, I'll fight for you, not because I have to, but because I want to. Because saving you was only the beginning. Now I'm protecting you, standing with you. That is everything. Lyra's tail curled around him, ears twitching, eyes shimmering with emotion. And I'll fight for you, Kale. Not because tradition demands it, but because my heart does. Because we are stronger together than apart. And because together, we can face anything. For the first time, Kale truly understood the meaning of the bond, the courage of humanity, and the unbreakable strength of trust. Blood had bound them, but choice, honor, and heart had made them family. And as the sun climbed over the canyon, casting light across the jagged cliffs, Kyle and Lyra stepped forward together, human and Vulpine, bound by fate, courage, and an extraordinary love. Their story had begun, and nothing, not law, not fear, not the vast unknown of the stars, could separate them now.